is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 87. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and people call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew, E.C., a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pap E, O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willie, a.k.a. Joe E. Chestnut, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. E, sitting here mid-afternoon, Labor Day weekend on a Sunday, coming off a very thrilling Austin FC. Almost said victory. Kind of felt like a victory. Was a 2-2 draw at the end of the day. Also coming off a shootout victory from Austin FC 2 on Friday night. We'll talk about both of those matches and everything in between. But somewhat surprisingly, you and I, sometimes I'll ask you how you been, and I know what you've been doing. But you're supposed to come to the FC2 match Friday. We didn't watch the game together yesterday. What the hell have you been doing this weekend?
Who knows, man?
The man of mystery.
Yeah, I've been good, man. This game last night it will go down in history for me. That goal by Alex was just incredible. I jumped and was screaming, got Mooch all riled up, and he starts barking, and we're going, and I end up missing my first pick in the fantasy draft, which really brought my mood down significantly. But I snapped back to reality pretty quick and was feeling elated that the boys got a very hard-fought, hard-earned point after deserving a lot of points in the last two matches that we've had. So I'm ready to talk Austin FC, ready to talk FCTO, ready to do it.
Hey, good thing you got multiple fantasy teams, but you think you're going to be defeated by me in every league that you play in. Well, happens a lot. All right, let's talk Austin FC here. Jumping into last night, I guess, as always, we can talk about the starting 11. And we knew there would be some rotation, right? Third game in 8 days on the road, on turf. So there was some question about who would actually be out there. We had Bradley Scott Stuver in net. And then your back line, Leo Väisänen, Julio Cascante, Adam Lundqvist, and Nick Lima. But then you look down the team sheet, and you've got Johan Valencia, Danny Pereira, and Alex Ring, and John Gallagher, Emi Rigoni, and Seba in there as well. So there was, I'll say this, for me, some excitement in trying to figure out what they were going to do. And then, of course, eventually seeing how they rolled this out on the pitch, both offensively and defensively, formation-wise. What were your thoughts when you saw this lineup? Because it was, I certainly don't have any qualms with any of those guys being in there. I know you're not a huge fan of 21. Not that I'm, the number one fan club member there, but how did you feel about this 11? Because you look at the bench, Matt Hedges, Ethan Finley, Hector in there, CJ there, Memo, Owen, Maxi, and Will Bruin. And then, of course, Matt Bersano rounding out the bench options there. How'd you feel about this 11?
I liked it. We tried to get the most talent that we could out there. And with 21 in the back there, it was a necessity thing if we're going to move Johnny up. And I'm fine with that because we knew Johnny had to play. We said it. We said he has been one of the most important players to us all season. I think he came in with an 8.1 FOTMOB last night. Oh. So he played really well. Yeah. And I was very excited, like you, to see what it looked like. And I was very satisfied with what it looked like. And on a short turnaround like that, to make this formational switch and do what we got to do because G's out. Matt obviously dealing with some hamstring tightness. So I was excited to see what it looked like and very satisfied with what it looked like to start the game. And as we moved forward, we adapted and got a good point on the road, man, at a very good club.
I'm glad to hear that siren go past you there at EHQ and not coming to you.
No,
you know? I don't know what you've been getting into this weekend.
So they're out on Riverside, bro.
Yeah.
They basically moved in down here.
Well, yeah, I mean, and once this game gets underway, defensively for me, after the rewatch, at times I thought, when we were defending, maybe a 5-3-2, and then at other times a 4-4-2. And what was confusing me was Johnny G, and sometimes looking like he was a part of kind of that second, like that midline in defense, and then sometimes being a part of that back line, kind of next to Nick Lima out there on the right. But then offensively, very clearly, I think that 3-4-3 formation, and we've seen kind of different iterations of it throughout this season. Like we started off the season with Jan Kolmanich right there on the left, and then he was the one on offense rotating forward and kind of playing that wing back role. And then we saw, when we were dealing with all the injuries in kind of that early to mid-May portion, where we went, completely that 3-4-3, and both of those wing backs tracking back on defense and both of them pushing up, really putting in the work on both sides. Last night looked more like what we tried to do at the beginning of the season. And again, they didn't run that formation much at the beginning of the season because the injuries started stacking up so quickly. But this is a team that has certainly drilled that formation offensively in the offseason, clearly, because they came out with it against St. Louis back in February. And I think looking at the substitution pattern, obviously we'll talk about the subs as we go through the match here, but to see somebody like Memo Rodriguez not play last night, potentially that could have been an athletic training thing where his metrics were like, if we can get through this match without playing Memo, maybe it's the best thing. But I also think there's a possibility that because he is the new guy and probably they haven't been drilling this formation as much of late, that all of these guys we see in the 11 were with the team coming into the season, right? And so I think that may have played a role. Obviously, there's a lot of factors. Jesse Zardes didn't mention he had been listed questionable earlier in the day. He ultimately, obviously, did not play, didn't make the bench. So there's multiple factors, and obviously the opponent also has, Josh spoke to kind of hit the theory behind playing Johan and Danny and Alex all out there together, three more defensive-minded midfielders. But I thought it was interesting, and I don't think at the end of the day, I don't think this reversion to this formation and these tactics, at least if in this game, it didn't look like it tripped these guys up too much.
No, not at all. And to your point there about Memo, I think that's good insight. I hadn't thought of it in that regard. I was going to say while you were talking there that, these were the stalwarts of Austin FC, your Alex Rings, your Sebas, your Ragonis, your Johnny G's. These are the guys who have been here, who know how we want to play this formation, and they executed it. And as much, flack as I can give Lundy on the left there, he had a lot of work to do last night.
Yeah.
And it's a demanding role on that wing back side. And he came to play, and this team came to play, and we keep fighting. This team just has continued the good fight all season through ups and downs, and to be able to adapt and to be able to go back to things that we've done in the past, like using this formation, and find success with it is great, man. We've been learning some tough lessons. We've been learning some tough lessons this season that I hope pay dividends later down the road here.
Yeah, no question. So let's go ahead and just jump in here. In the first, 8 to 10 minutes of this match was a lot of New England. 5th minute here, Rebs win a corner. That was a theme throughout the first half. And Carlos Heel puts it kind of towards the edge of the 6-yard box. And Romney's there and kind of wraps his foot around both Julio and Seba and connects it. The shot goes over the bar, but again, Julio getting beat to a ball like that has been a theme lately. And I don't think Julio did a ton last night. It was far from his worst match of the season and his Austin FC tenure, but I also don't think he did anything to bounce back in a major way from the poor form that we've seen from him. 8th minute here, Lundqvist gets it taken off his foot. And to be fair to him, there was a double team closing down. So it wasn't like he just lost it in a one-on-one situation or something like that. But Nacho Gil takes it off his boot and starts streaking towards net. He finds his brother Carlos at the top of the box. Stuver with a great reaction save to get this one out for a corner. And that corner is played short to Carlos Gil. And his him and Nacho. So those guys, I know if anybody who watched the match knows, those guys are brothers. But the amount that they connected and combined, and you hear the announcer saying, heel to heel. It was a lot there on that right side. And you were talking about Adam Lundqvist having a lot to do last night. Matching up with both of the heel brothers on that left side was certainly a tough task. That corner is short to Carlos Gil. His cross finds Omar Gonzalez. He puts a header down into the ground that goes right at Stuver. But early on, the sheer size of that New England back line is a big reason why they've been so tough overall, and especially at home this year. Again, this team, no wins, the only team, or no losses, excuse me, the only team without a loss at home so far this season after FC Cincinnati gets upset by Orlando City last night. I mean, they were threatening early.
They were definitely threatening early. This front run that keeps happening, this face run that keeps happening on these corners needs to be, we got to get this tightened up because like we said last year, the game hasn't been able to start until Julio gets a talking to in the box. And this year it's until Julio gets a front run on a corner kick and we almost get scored on. The Heel brothers are just absolutely amazing. It was so fun to watch them and also just kind of terrifying. But they have that little brother intuition where you know where that dude is without even knowing, having to look up. And I got to play, I got to play basketball with my brother growing up the whole time, my entire life. And we had that. We always had it. It's almost indescribable. It's something, if you've experienced it, it's cool. And then seeing those two to be able to do it out there was fun, but also, like I said, quite scary. Probably should have got scored on with that shot. Great save by Stuver there. And look, it was threatening early by them, but we were still doing some positive things, and we get caught up with a bad turnover there by Lundy. It's just he was in a bad spot. And one of the things that kept coming up for me last night was, I know we want to keep possession. I know we want to find ways to progress in the attack, but at what point does the scale tip? And it's more risky than it is for the reward. And I thought a few times last night we could have just gotten the ball out of there and just lived with whatever came from that. So this was one of those times, and hats off to Lundy for having to deal with both those guys, because that looked really difficult.
And New England was certainly putting a lot of pressure on when we were trying to keep possession and turn the game more towards our tempo, our style. They were really trying, especially in that first half, to get us out of that. And if I can go back, not that we have to stay on this brother connection too long, but with Nacho Gil, he's clearly the player that's more replacement level. Carlos Gil is MVP of the league 2 years ago. He's still very, very close to that level this year. And you notice, I maybe I'm wrong here, but to me it was Nacho Gil is not, nobody else is making him look good, and he's not helping out his teammates as much as that connection was happening between those two guys. Like you mentioned, it's that kind of that intuition if you've grown up playing with your brother. And I will say it's much more fun to be on yours and Debo's team than playing against you guys for that reason. 10th minute here, Danny gets taken out by Nacho. And that free kick is switched from the left to the right on the ground to Nick Lima for him to serve in a ball. And the execution on this set piece was great because Seba runs this loop. He makes this looping run around, and the timing is perfect from Lima right to where Seba is supposed to be. And he gets there. And then Seba just whiffs the header. And even if he makes contact with that, Earl Edwards was there. So we've seen Seba score much tougher goals than that, but I don't think that was a guaranteed goal if he made contact. But to see him whiff a chance like that was whoo boy, come on. We gotta. He knows he's got to do better there.
Yes. Look, let's start with the play. Absolutely beautiful, executed to perfection.
Looked like FC2.
Yeah, the timing was amazing. It was awesome. And I don't know what happened to Seba here. Just maybe it was one of those situations where he was too wide open, because literally he would have had enough time to bring that ball down and put one on net. So you look at the stats at the end of the game, 0 missed big chances for the Revs and 2 for us. So to be able to get that one early would have been really, really nice.
Yeah, I would like to stop having to talk about how many more missed big chances we have in that Fatma model than our opponents.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, if you're trying to look on the bright side with that stuff, the chances keep coming, right?
Correct.
And we know that we have talented players here. And so through these last seven matches, you start converting some of those big chances. You're going to be turning these games where we're like, we deserve something into actually getting something out of them. Not that we didn't get anything out of this one last night, but it was a frustrating week overall, despite the result last night.
I mean, as we have regressed back to the mean of what we probably should have been last year, we at this point are going to progress back to the mean for these expected goals that we've been getting great chances on. So I'm encouraged. I'm looking forward to it when they start going in the back of the net, as everyone is.
19th minute, Revs on the counter here. Carlos Hill draws 2 defenders and lays it off for Andrew Farrell, and Farrell crosses it, just one times it. Julio taps it out, but it falls right to the foot of Giacomo Veroni, who did get the start over Bobby Wood, and he put that attempt wide. And there was a couple times when Veroni found the ball at his feet, or they were trying to find him on a long ball or a through ball or what have you, and he just wasn't able to connect and put one in the back of the net. Veroni has been on fire for this team, again, in his limited minutes, and so I thought credit to the defense at the times where they did take him away, and then on chances like this, we were lucky that he wasn't accurate with his shot. Yeah,
he did not have his best game, and we'll take it.
Yeah.
Credit
Next
to the defense,
minute.
credit to a little poor performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Next minute, Nacho Heel. I thought there's some Danny contact here, but we're down in the right corner, so near side broadcast camera in our defensive third. And Nacho Heel, what I thought was a flop. There's contact initially, and then maybe he clips him a little bit. But and I think this was Danny's argument to the head official after this call. It's the linesman is 5 feet from them, and he did not call a foul, but the head official behind them, 20 yards back, makes that call. I don't know, man. I think as a head official, and we talked a lot about officiating on the podcast this week. Luckily, I don't think we have much to talk about here, but at that point, especially so I'm still so scorned from Wednesday. I'm man, are you not trusting your linesman to make that call? Because he's right fucking there.
I was flabbergasted because the initial play is Danny kind of gives him a 2-hand shove right in the back, and he stays up. And then he's like, oh, damn, I probably should have gone down on that. And then he goes down without contact. And valid argument there by Danny. And we know he can lose his cool a little bit sometimes, but I thought he did a good job there explaining himself without going way too overboard. Yeah. But I did start to put the Danny threat meter up a little bit after that one because,
you're up to yellow after that.
Yeah, it can go quick.
Okay. And I guess to give the ref, maybe the official was saying, hey, I'm calling the foul for that first shove, even though he didn't go down. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. 23rd minute. With that. Yeah, sure.
If he communicated that, I would have been fine with that.
Yeah. 23rd minute. Austin on a nice build-up here. And this is where we really, again, there was a couple chances there, but the momentum was still, I think, solidly in favor of the Revs. Yes. But Austin on a nice build-up here in the 23rd. Danny slips it to Seba in the middle, and Seba turns and starts the break before whipping it out to the right. Alex Ring pings it to Nick Lima, and he crosses it towards the back post. But, he also had a lot of space to turn and shoot. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have hated a shot attempt there. And the announcers very clearly thought that he should have had one. But I think I also, my trust in Nick Lima's decision-making as a passer probably trumps my desire for him to take that shot. So if he feels like he had a better chance at serving one of his teammates there, I'm fine with it. As much as I would like to see him, let him hang and just fire one off there.
Yeah, no, I'm in lockstep there with you. He made the right decision. He's just been better at crosses this year than he has been on putting shots on net. So I was totally fine with it.
So that was the beginning of kind of the second little hill I guess you could say, in terms of like the momentum chart there on
Yep.
FOTMob, and it culminates here in the 27th minute. Austin been in possession for the better part of like 3 or 4 minutes here, working it around the back from right to left, and then Danny breaks the line by finding Alex Ring in the middle. Ring slides it out to the right for John Galler, who one times it with a cross, and Rigoni gets his foot to it and redirects it kind of down into the ground, but also towards the face of goal. Certainly some luck involved here. It bounces over Earl Edwards into the back of the net for the opening goal. But I also think we have to credit Emi Rigoni for making the right run, reading that cross coming in, and being in the right spot to where you can take advantage of some of that luck, and it pays off in a goal here. So Rigoni, again, I don't think we had mentioned this yet. Rigoni, I think the prevailing sentiment before we kicked off was Seba was going to be playing that false 9 again. It was Emi Rigoni at the 9.
Yes, and I'm with you 100% on that take right there. Got to the right spot, got a little lucky, and we'll fucking take it there. Overall, we missed G. Definitely missed G. That was a point of emphasis for the announcers last night, talking about, where's our target man up there. And Rigoni does have a little size, and the right feel, the right read here, what a 9 would make, and he puts it in the back of the net, and we're feeling real good. Yeah, but not for real long.
Well, and look, we didn't have to go find the nut punch gif after the game, but this was certainly another dick kick. 28th minute, off the kickoff. In my notes it says, "You got to be fucking kidding me." Revs bring it right down that right side. You get kind of a missed tackle, like the ball pings around, then you've got a missed tackle by Leo.
Yep.
And then an early cross put in against a back line that is retreating towards its own net. And so I think you can certainly do better if you're Adam Lundqvist, if you're Danny Pereira, if you're Leo Väisänen out there on that right side to kind of clean that up off the kickoff. And then you've got Julio and Nick not able to clear that dangerous low cross. I think Julio certainly had a chance at it. And so did Nick. Neither guy able to get a foot to it. And then Tomas Chankale on the backside there, who I believe is a 22-year-old Argentinian who's on loan from Racing, I think.
Yeah.
He taps it home. And then I also have this question here, because on the replay, I think it's a fair one. I don't know the answer either way, but could Brad Stuver do better there as well?
I thought about Stuver when you were bringing up the amount of people that would have done something about this. Again, look, we just kind of got a little fortunate on that Emmy goal, and they got a little fortunate here. But the overall sentiment for me is that this team continues to give up goals after scoring, and we fall asleep. We lull a little bit, and we're not good enough to not be locked in for 90 minutes every single game. And I know that that's a big ask, to be locked in every play, to be executing every play to the best of your ability. But we just can't have these portions of the game where we fall asleep and you just let them get right back in the game. And all the momentum, we had quieted that place down. And even the announcer talks about it, Sam Lloyd there. He's like, you got to make the crowd feel anxious for a little bit. This isn't going to go well.
Yeah.
And we instantly let them get back on the board. And, just multiple attempts where we could have gotten that ball out of there. And I thought Brad could have maybe made a play on it.
Yeah.
But he didn't. And they put it in the back of the net, and here we are.
Well, I think it's certainly easy to point out Julio being involved in that, right? But I think when you watch it again, right, like you said, there's just so much more in terms of the entire unit being responsible for nobody stepping up and making that play. And again, with how Julio has been playing lately and been involved in a lot of one-on-one mistakes or being near another goal, the Tafare winner last weekend, things like that. It's very easy to focus in on him, but that to me was just a failure of the unit. And again, like you said, we have seen this way too much this season, and in the last month.
Yeah, it has to stop. We're not good enough to do that.
Yeah. 35th minute. This is the 6th corner for the Revs to none for Austin. But off this corner, Austin was able to take off on a counter after Carlos Heel had a little bit of a heavy touch receiving a pass. Lundqvist pokes it away from Heel and gets it to Seba, who leads the break. It's kind of like a 3-on-4, almost 3-on-3.5, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
But Seba ends up dribbling right into 3 Revs defenders. And like, I don't know if he had a passing lane there that was good enough to actually really like make a play and continue this break. But like the way he went straight to where the defense was tracking back, instead of like, if you're going to hold it up, let's just go to the open space and let guys fill in their gaps and make runs off of you and off where the defense is in transition. But we ultimately stayed in possession here.
Yeah.
Danny went down on the edge of the box here and was waved away by the official. And like, we didn't get a replay of that. So I don't know if there was anything in that. There probably wasn't, because again, we know that the video assistant is looking at everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But man, yeah, I don't think Seba played great last night. And this was certainly not his brightest moment on the night. Because that's a guy with the space that he had on that break. Like, you just have to do better when you are in the position that he is on this team and the role that he has to fill.
Yeah, and ball moves faster than a man. You got to get that ball up with a progressive pass and then find the space and make the defense make a decision. Yeah. Now, he was obviously the vocal point for their defense. You saw last night, whenever he was on the ball, they were bringing a second man as quickly as possible when he was in threatening zones. So they definitely wanted to take him out of the game. Yeah. And they did a relatively good job with that. And they have a good defense. Like you said, we're only the second team that scored 2 goals.
Yep.
There
second time
season.
Yeah, I believe Chicago got 3 on them.
So like, it was a point of emphasis for their defense, and they're stout and they're a good team. And he just made a poor decision here.
Yeah.
And I think Danny probably was trying to get one back on the ref for the heel call, because it's pretty much the same thing. He kind of went down,
Yeah, for sure.
But then there's that ball's loose after, right?
Yeah, and there's very similar contact on us that is called, and that gets the Revs the ball back.
Yeah, and it was on Johnny.
Yeah. Yep. Only 1 minute of stoppage here, but in that minute, you've got Chancalay whipping in across, and no Revs there. Lundqvist all by himself, and he just boots it out for a corner. And the only
time. Go ahead.
Clearly, he did not know in that moment that he was all alone.
Uh-huh.
But that's also that's part of the gig, right? Like you got to have that spatial awareness, and that's just, again, he's certainly not the worst player we've seen on the pitch for Austin FC in our team's history. Far from it. But in this back four, we've been talking about it for months. He just doesn't look super comfortable when he's called upon in a situation like that.
He's way more comfortable just throwing in crosses than he is with that little interplay. And here, like I said before, like, you could have booted several other balls out of play earlier in the game where you actually had defenders on you. And in this one, he just kicks you right out of bounds for a corner. Yeah, I was completely lost as to what he was thinking there. Also, someone's talking to him. Brad's talking to him there. Brad's can see behind him.
You would think.
You're not, you're good. No one.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, and then the amount of crosses they had in that first half, and then they throw up the graphic on how many goals we've given up on set pieces this year was just not the combination that I was looking for to close out this half.
Yeah, when it wasn't what we were looking for to start the second half either, because 47th minute here, right out of the break. And I remember when I was saying Nacho Heel didn't do much for his teammates. He did here. Nacho wins a corner as Lundqvist poked it off his foot. Carlos takes the corner short, right to his brother, and Nacho fires across that finds the back post where Chancalay and Lundy are matched up, and Lundy pretty much rooted to the ground. Chancalay rises up over him and just dunks it for the second goal, and that's his. He gets a brace. Those were his first 2 goals for this Revolutions club. Not the way you want to start it, and just the shittiest way to bookend halftime for Adam Lundqvist. And for me, this here is where I have more of a problem with you not being able to be physical enough with Chancalay. Like, I know this is a young guy. He's got some size on him, height-wise. But there's just not – there has to be contact there. And I understand you're not trying to get a pen, but allowing somebody to sky that high untouched, you you have to do better, and you're going to get scored on every time if that's the way he knows that, but it's just, goddamn, was it frustrating.
Yeah, he's an MLS vet, and he probably knows that he doesn't have the best vert in the league. So what are you going to do to counteract that? You got to get a body on a body and know where this man is. Him getting dunked on there was not great, and I got to be honest with you, I was like, oh boy, here we go. I have to get not pleasant.
So Chanclay does pick up a yellow in the 54th minute, and then Mark-Anthony Kaye picks one up in the 57th here, as Danny slipped through 2 defenders, and then Kaye is the one who takes him down just outside the box. Seba takes the free kick, and it's pawed over the bar by Earl Edwards. It was nice to see Seba take that one.
Mm-hmm.
I said I was watching with our buddies Guillermo and NAG last night, and I said, man, when they won that free kick, this has to be Seba taking it, especially now that Diego's gone. Like, this is why we pay you the big bucks, and he did what he needed to do, putting it on frame. And I thought not the toughest save in the world by Edwards there, but he forced a save and won a corner. That corner, which was Austin's first on the night, ended up getting cleared out. But then here in the 60th minute, Chanclay takes Ring out near the right corner, and I'm not sure how this isn't a second yellow and a subsequent red card, because look, I get the shoulder to shoulder rule, right? I get it.
Yeah.
But he fucking missed. Like, he goes through his back.
Shoulder to middle of back is not shoulder to shoulder.
And there's also no attempt to play the ball.
None.
So I just don't understand how that wasn't a textbook yellow. And look, and I know refs at some points will give a little bit more leeway because they don't want to go to that red.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I'm biased. I know I'm looking through Austin FC colored lenses here. To me, that's a second yellow. Like that, especially he's 6 minutes removed from getting that first one.
Absolutely. And also because they had let Ben Sweat take out Johnny twice on that wing there without repercussion. Now Chanclay comes in and he just demolishes Alex through his back. And I think, part of it is that we've seen Danny get thrown out for that.
Yeah.
We've seen Danny get his second card for something along those lines that maybe the ref is giving you a little leeway because he doesn't want to kick you out of the game, because obviously it's a huge aspect of the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but it's a yellow. It's a yellow.
Yep.
I texted it to you. I said, yellow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He says all caps, yellow card.
Yellow card.
So we do get a corner off of that. And that corner from Emmy is cleared. And actually, it starts a break for the Revs. And I thought in this situation, Austin did well to get bodies back. Stuber ended up gobbling up the cross from Nacho Gil. Then 63rd minute, we get a double change. Matt Hedges and Ethan Finley in for Leo Väisänen and Adam Lukavist. I think pretty clearly minutes limit here for Leo, right around the 60th minute, So you would assume 2 weeks from now, we can see 90 out of him, which is going to be great. You would assume, I think, that 2 weeks from now, we have everybody but John ready to go. So for the stretch run here, we'll talk about the stretch run in a little bit. Galley slid back to left back here as Ethan Finley was up there on the right. 65th minute, off an Edwards goal kick. Finley runs down a loose ball all the way to the near sideline from the broadcast angle, and he plays Emmy through down that right sideline. He crosses towards Seba and Ring was the one closest to it. Can't quite redirect it on frame. Austin did stay in possession. Galley gets a cross in. It goes out for an Austin throw on the right side. Lima takes that long throw. It gets cleared out to Gallagher. He whips it to Ring on the left, and his cross is just a little too strong and out for a goal kick. But you really start to see here for, 15 minutes, maybe a little longer, a lot of Austin pressure here on the New England back line.
Yeah, and I like the subs. Finley comes in and he was playing mad. He was playing pissed off. I like to see it. So we got a little juice there from that. Yep. And Leo had to get out. And as much as we've been piling on Julio, just tip of the hat again for being in there the whole time and having to do it despite having some poor performances. So I was satisfied with the subs, and like you said, we should be full tilt, ready to go for this stretch run here, and that's exciting.
Yeah, and a good point about Julio, a guy like doesn't really come out and is having to fight through that physical part of it and also the mental part of it, knowing full well that he hasn't been playing his best lately. 67th minute here, Austin out on a 2-on-2 break after Seba won a ball off a Hedges header as the ball was kind of pinging around off a goal kick. Seba plays Ring through, and he's got he and Emmy 2-on-2. Ring kind of lofts it up to Emmy. Emmy tries to volley at home, but whiffs it. I think it was a combination of like maybe you have a little bit of time to try to bring that down there, Emmy, but also a little bit too much heat maybe on it from Alex there. But it was good to see those guys being aggressive and combining like that. Just couldn't finish it off.
Look, I was pretty mad at Emmy at that attempt.
Okay.
I think that is part of the hesitation that he's had all season about when he's next to net or he has an attempt here. We've just seen it time and time again. To me, you got to, because he like slows up, kind of starts leaning backwards. And as soon as you start leaning backwards when you're playing this game, the results aren't going to be great. So to me, he's got to find a way to run through that ball, put something on it. And I thought this was a missed chance. I really did. The initial ball, I think, from Alex goes out wide left, correct? And then it comes back into Emmy.
Yeah, so from Seba to Alex is on the left of the 2-on-2 break, and he kind of diverts his run while he's on the ball to try to create that space for Emmy.
Okay. Yeah, look, I thought we could have done better here. I thought this is one of the attempts, one of the plays where if we want to get 3 points, you got to put it in. So yeah, it's like you said, we know who Rigoni is. Mm-hmm. Got the goal in the first half and we needed it.
Yeah. 2 minutes later, Austin in possession again. And Danny combines. Really nice give and go here with John Gallagher. And so Gally gets that ball on the end line, crosses it back towards the face of goal. And that's kicked away, but it falls right to Danny, who blasts a shot past Edwards from the left and audibly bangs off the post and out. There was a lot of velocity on that shot. I think the announcer said a vicious attempt by Danny. It was. Yeah. And fuck, man, if that is an inch to the left, it's bouncing off the post and in and not back out. And you love to see that type of aggression from Danny when he's in a position like that. And goddamn, did I feel like he deserved that goal.
He absolutely did. That would have been incredible. Look, it was a hell of a rip. And I thought Danny looked better offensively than he did defensively last night. Now it's going to be hard to look really good defensively with Carlos Heel, who was giving Danny some serious fits. But this was a great shot, and he really ramped up his offensive pressure as this game kind of went on, and I was all for it. That when he becomes part of our attack, especially on the secondary or tertiary level, that we add an element to our game that isn't there usually.
Yeah.
And with Johan in there, as frustrating as he has been, and as not good as he played last night, he does allow for those other guys, because Alex was moving up pretty consistently into this offensive attack. He does allow those two to have a little more freedom. So if we're looking forward, if it's Owen with those two, and Alex is then, the one who's more of the defensive stalwart, that's encouraging as well.
Yeah, no question. And speaking of Johan, 70th minute here, he gets a yellow for taking out Mark Anthony Kaye on a loose ball. And then a minute later, it wasn't
a loose ball.
He lost the ball.
He passed the ball directly to the other team and then slide tackled the guy.
Well, you're right.
Yeah.
71st minute. Double change here for the Revs. Noel Buck and Bobby Wood in for Nacho Hill and Giacomo Veroni. 74th minute, Austin wins the throw on the right side in the attacking third, and Lima's long throw is glanced on by Julio. Seba tries to volley at home, but it hits Rigoni, who's kind of on the edge of the six, and it bounces off of him towards Edwards, and he was kind of tangled up with, I think it might have been Romney there, and just wasn't able to reach out for that ball before Edwards could scoop it up. But again, Austin continuing to pile on the pressure here on that New England defense. 77th minute here. You see a Danny yellow card for taking out Harks on a break. And what was noticeably absent, was all of the people calling for Josh Wolf to take Danny out of the game at this point. I didn't see any of that.
Wow. Isn't that crazy? When you get to assess the game after everything happens and you have this point that you haven't made once. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. 81st minute, double change here for Austin. Will Bruin and Owen Wolf coming on for Emi Rigoni and Johan Valencia. 84th minute here. Austin in possession, working around like 15, 20 yards outside the box. Lima finds Owen about 10 yards out. Owen turns, takes a touch, and fires a shot that forces a diving save from Earl Edwards out for a corner. And that corner was taken short by Ring. He, Danny, and Galley can't get any service in, and was a super fucking frustrating result on this corner. So let's take this in two parts, right? Okay. Owen coming in, little fresh off the bench here. Some well-deserved rest, and also nice to see the advantages that Alex Ring brought. We can talk about that, I guess, maybe after we get through the game here, but good to see Owen taking that chance from the top of the box. And it was it forced a diving save there. And on a night where we didn't have a ton of shots on net, that's something we needed, and he almost got it there.
It was a great shot. And he brought it right away. And that's, like we said, he likes those chances from outside the 18 more than he does being inside the box and getting a look. So a hell of a shot, and then just an absolutely mind fuck of a corner here. I don't know what is going on.
Your fudge must have combusted last night.
I did know there was one thing going on, and it was fudge just being baffled.
Yeah. I mean, and like they said as much, of course, on the broadcast, because it was, I think, evident to everybody who was watching that was just a poor passage of play there from Austin. Like they said it on the broadcast, like if you can't just whip it in from the corner, let's get some service. But like one of you three on that left side has to be able to create enough space to get that ball in. And just especially at that point, down 2-1, as frustrated as we were at that point, like that was almost to me, where it was like, okay, like maybe this isn't happening for us tonight.
Yeah, and nobody can make a run because you can't time anything because these guys are just playing with it. I mean, it was a 3-on-2 on that side. It wasn't like they were pushing guys out to go deal with that. Yeah, they were still in the box. So yeah, that was the most frustrating play of the night for me.
Yeah. And then this to me was going to be like one of the only positives we could have pulled out of this one. In the 88th minute, you get CJ making his debut, league debut, right, with the first team in for John Gallagher. So congrats to CJ, onward and upward from here, man. We're super excited to obviously we've talked about CJ before and how excited we are that he's a part of this club, and seeing him make his debut now. The contributions to the first team are coming soon, I think.
Absolutely. Shout out to him. It's going to be exciting. He's going to be awesome in that role on the left.
Yeah. Well, and interesting, like last night on defense, with the way we were, pushing at the end there, when we're on defense, he was playing left back. And it didn't get burned, didn't get exposed back there. So like I thought, again, it's only 6-7 minutes that he was in there, but certainly held his own.
Absolutely. And that could be something that was, holding up his actual debut, is if that we were going to use him in that role, he was going to have to develop that part of his game because he's always been an attacker. But he's athletic enough, he's big enough to really make an impact when he's on the pitch for us. So I'm all for it. I'm excited. And shout out to him. Keep working, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. 90th minute here, you get a yellow card to Ethan Finley. You're talking about him playing angry. He looked super angry and frustrated on here. Pulled Carlos Heel down to stop a break. Professional foul there. And then, there's Carlos Heel comes out in stoppage time. We had 3 minutes of stoppage time given. Couple fouls, free kicks, etc. And the official gives Austin one last build-up about 20 seconds after those 3 minutes had expired. And Austin takes advantage. Nick Lima whips it ahead into the box. It bounces off the foot of Will Bruin right to Ring. And there's a bounce, and he kind of half volleys it, lasers a shot past Earl Edwards to save a point. And obviously elation, just the good vibes to end this week that has been so shitty for everybody involved. Whether you're in the club, whether you're a fan of the club, what have you, everybody in the Austin FC sphere. It was, I think H put it great last night. He said it was like in Game of Thrones when Jon Snow comes back to life, they bring him and he takes that big breath in.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good way to describe it.
Can you believe it was only 3 minutes?
Yeah, I don't think I was super.
We took 2 minutes to get that free kick right from outside the box because the ref kept trying to figure out where the ball was supposed to be.
Yeah,
it took 2 minutes just on that one fucking play. And we get 3 minutes here, and then they actually get that foul late where they add more time. Like, so I don't want to hear anything about the fucking the time.
Yeah.
Because when we were in Dallas, they gave them 7 minutes. And so it was absurd. But Jesus, what an absolute stunning goal from Alex. Yeah, give it to us.
Yeah, I want to just watch this here for a second. Because I want to focus on the guys. What it meant to them on their faces. Brad Stuver running 80 yards to jump on this dog pile.
And Alex knew right away when he kicked it, it was going in.
Yep. You see him running off. Here we go.
Ray with a shot!
Oh my God.
At the death! Alex Ray!
I mean,
Yeah.
how long has it been since we saw those guys smiling like that, man?
Yeah.
It gives me
awesome.
chills.
I know. Johnny, look at Johnny. Danny's face there, just absolute elation. It's
Here comes Brad.
Lasers!
And and shout out to the traveling fans going fucking wild.
No
here.
one in!
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, everybody's down there. You saw Leo running down. He was coming from the bench.
Yep.
You know? Oh, man.
My God. Absolutely incredible.
Look at CJ towering over everybody, man. That's a big boy.
Yeah. Oh, it's
awesome. It was great.
It was
so I think I have a new favorite draw, E.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's mine right there. Absolutely. And I mean, for Alex to get that goal with everything he's dealt with this season, the injuries, losing the captain's band, losing his starting job, having to play fucking center back because we don't got anyone to play back there. For him to get that goal, a point that could potentially save our season down the road.
Yep. And I guess let's talk a little bit more about Alex here and what we can maybe expect going forward. And I guess we can also factor in some of what we have, I guess seen throughout this year, whether it's his injuries, playing center back, what have you. Obviously, we don't think we'll ever know what exactly went down in the offseason for the whole fiasco with the captain's armband, whether he was trying to leave the club or not. We've heard rumors of that. We've heard rumors of him and Wolf butting heads, etc. Again, just like those guys told us midweek, it's all opinions. We don't actually know what happened. What we do know, Alex did not start the first match of the season. Owen had won that spot for whatever happened. And then we had the center back injuries and we had the collapse from Kip and Tarek, and we had Alex back there as a necessity, right? Played his fucking balls off. He did great. And then he got injured multiple times.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think there's certainly like the people who wanted Alex to start from the beginning of the season. I get it. Right. We get it. But throughout the majority of this season so far, we just haven't really been able to play him there because we needed him to be at center back as recently as July. Right. And he was hurt through all of July after Miami. So now that we are assuming, hopefully, knock on wood, that we can get through 2 weeks of training, no serious knocks, and we are all healthy outside of Jean come the 17th. What do you think we did? Like, what do you think we see here in terms of a first choice 11? Because I got to tell you, man, I think my first choice 11, I don't know if Owen is in it, but I know that Alex is in it.
Yes, I agree. I mean, I said it last pod. Owen could be in a super sub role if he's hit the proverbial wall. And look, again, we've had a leadership void on the pitch. We've had a toughness void at times, and he fills both of those things. And getting anything like that out of him is just a cherry on top. So, I mean, look, I would be encouraged to continue with this formation that we kind of rolled out last night. And then instead of Rigoni at the 9, you have G there, and then you can rotate those wings as needed. Because we're not going to be. I mean, we could theoretically be healthy going all the way into the playoff stretch here or whatever, but it's going to be,
don't count on it.
Yeah, who's that up to? So I do agree. Alex is in the starting 11 as somebody who supported Owen and wanted him to start earlier in the season. Like you said, after that, it wasn't necessarily a performance. If Owen played bad, we would start Alex in his place because we had no one to play behind our starting 2 center backs.
Yeah.
So I do agree. Alex is in that 11, and like we're just getting healthy, man, and it feels good.
Yeah, for sure. When I think like let's say we're fully healthy and we run that back that formation back. Like I think, like you said, G's up top.
Mhm.
So you're probably putting Emmy on one of those wings.
Mhm.
But Johnny's probably back on the left in the
Yeah.
spot for Lundqvist. So, it could be Owen in that Valencia spot,
Yeah.
right? Or, you can bring in a Memo or an Ethan Finley or what have you and kind of shift around those pieces up front as well, and play Alex a little bit more defensively, because I think whether or not Alex is more forward up the field like we saw him last night or playing, more in the defensive half, what he brings is just that connectivity offensively. He's going to be able to progress the ball wherever he is in the midfield and just having that out there in addition to the defensive attributes that he has and the leadership attributes that he has, that physical vocal leadership. I'm not so concerned if he's playing more forward or more in the defensive half. I want him out there. So again, like you said, it's exciting to have options and a discussion about who's going to start and where and what formation you can run out. Like this is again. We think that we know that the final product is not going to include a number of these players, whether it's next year, the year after, or what have you, with the plans that Roto has for this roster. But in the 2023 version of Austin FC, we are getting as close as we possibly can to having everything available to us, and with 7 matches to go, and you need at least 4 wins, I think, out of these 7.
Yep.
You couldn't be in a better spot in the situation that we're in.
Correct. And I mean, for the people who want to poo-poo on just getting a point last night, y'all have no idea how much that meant to the boys then.
Yeah.
Like
you clearly just didn't watch it on their. Look how they reacted.
Can you imagine having endured what they endured, and then to get that point on the death stroke right there, like it just happened to us, and to go and be able to do that, like what it just did for the psyche of this team, for the momentum of this team going forward, is absolutely fucking massive, and it cannot be understated. And look, they are one of the best teams in the league. They have as many points as St. Louis, who just beat us 6-3 in their place. And guess what? New England's better at home than St. Louis. So, I don't want to hear the nonsense about this not being, or that celebrating this point is somehow a small club mindset. We're a young club, but we're a young club, buddy. Like, that's what it is. So to get this goal here, to see it, for it to happen to Alex, just, you knew all this bad shit couldn't just be, keep happening to us. And it was an awesome game. And my favorite draw of all time. And you look, and these dudes keep fighting for one another, for the coaching staff, and for the badge and the name on the front. It has happened all season long.
Yep.
Don't want to talk in absolutes, because obviously there's some lulls and some stuff that can happen. But this team has fought every fucking game for the majority of these games. And we're right there. We're right there in the thick of it for all we've dealt with. We couldn't. They brought it up on the broadcast, talking to Josh Wolf before the game, and he goes, "Yeah, we couldn't, because they were wondering why there was no new faces on this roster." And Josh was flat out honest with them. We didn't have a sporting director. It was almost impossible to work a deal and get these other players in these windows. And now we are looking forward to those next windows, and that's great, and that's well and good. But like you said, this is the 2023 iteration of this team. This is the only team that will ever exist for 2023, and we're going to try to make the best of it. This team has not quit at all. We are not tanking at all. We are in the midst of the most important stretch run of our very young club's career, and we just got one of the biggest points in our young club's history on the road in a game that we had to get a fucking point from. And to bounce back from what the refs did to us versus Seattle, to bounce back from that and get that point, come on, man. Come on.
Yep. Yeah, no question. I mean, it's our first. We were out year 1 around this time, maybe even earlier. I don't remember. It was so bad, but and we didn't really have a playoff race last year. We were just trying to hold on to that 2 seed. This is the first playoff race that we've been in. And again, it is still playoff chase, still sitting in 10th. But in a second, let's check on that table. Let's talk about some of the results from last night because those are important. But closing the game out here, 50% possession here, so ended up even in that regard. 17 shots to 10 in favor of the Revs. 6 shots on target to 5, also in favor of New England. 6 of the 10 Austin shots came from inside the box. 10 New England corners to just 3 for Austin. But again, like you mentioned earlier, 2 missed chances for Austin with 0 missed chances for the Revs. 1.41 XG for New England in FOTMob's model, 1.17 for Austin. And that feels right to me. They were slightly more dangerous over the course of the full game, but I think, a draw is perfectly fair there.
Yeah, there's no giant outliers on these stats other than our 2 missed big chances.
Yeah,
they had none. Hell of a point, man. What a game.
Yeah, and you mentioned the quality of New England, not just at home, but sitting on 47 points, tied for second in terms of the Supporters Shield race. And if you look at the 2 other teams they are tied with, one of which is the Fighting Felipes there, Orlando City now on 47 points, and like you mentioned, St. Louis City. New England, a game in hand on both of those clubs. So points per game, New England second in the Shield race. Again, just that was a hell of a battle last night, and getting a point out of there was great. And again, you mentioned that home record where they are still undefeated, 10 wins, 4 draws, no losses, a plus 20 goal differential. They've got 34 points from their 14 home matches. And again, Austin, only the second team this season to score more than 1 goal in Foxborough. And checking on the other results out west last night, I think it went about as well as it possibly could have in terms of our situation, minimizing the points among the other teams in this Western Conference race. You get draws for Vancouver, Dallas, the Galaxy, Houston, San Jose, Minnesota, Seattle, and Portland. All of them draw. So obviously we don't make up any ground on those teams, but we did not cede any ground either. And doing that, going out to New England last night, we love to see it. I mean, it's what we needed, and have all that help too. I mean, all those teams I just named, right? You're looking at. Let me get off the home standings here. So teams that did not gain any ground on us last night: Seattle in second, Houston in 5th, Vancouver in 6th, Minnesota in 7th, San Jose in 8th, Dallas in 9th, Portland in 12th, and the Galaxy in 13th. We did see Sporting KC pick up 3 points, RSL pick up 3 points, RSL sitting in 4th, SKC right on our ass now, a point back, and we are now level on matches played. And then, of course, St. Louis took an L, so they got no points. So again, we could have been picky and said, yeah, we would love a draw for SKC and RSL, but I think all in all, in terms of Austin FC standing in the table and their playoff chances, a good night.
I agree. And, not every one of those teams played New England on the road. So we were looking at the schedules moving forward. And before I do that, I just want to go back to, we brought up some decent stats and the encouragement that we have moving forward with the club. But they threw up some interesting stuff on the broadcast last night. Mm-hmm. We're number 1 in giving up goals in the last 15 minutes of a game.
Yep.
So cleaning that up is something that we are capable of doing and will only help us in the long run here. Yeah. And then we're second, I believe, in set piece goals conceded.
Yep.
And again, we can clean that up, and we need to. And so as much as those things, we feel really good about how we're going and moving forward right now and that we're getting a little healthier, there's still stuff that needs to be attended to, obviously, and very fixable things. So that's great. So now looking forward, we have a relatively easy schedule. I don't want to say easy. Favorable.
Well, on paper, it's favorable. Yes.
It's favorable. And then you look at the teams that we're in contention with and running with right now, they got to play some hard clubs, so we're going to be able to get the 3 out of the 4 teams that are below us on the table, correct?
Yeah. So we still have Portland, LA, and Colorado the first two of those at home and then Colorado on the road. But
Yep.
I think that's one thing we should maybe do on Wednesday's episode. If we can do a little nonsense exercise of going through the other teams that are in this race and maybe predicting the outcomes of those and seeing where the table would fall. Because I know you were diving into some of these teams and looking at not just them having tougher schedules on paper in terms of like the average points of their opponents remaining on their schedule, but the fact that a lot of these teams, let's say from Seattle at 2 on 41 points to us at 10 on 33 points, a lot of those teams play each other and will cannibalize each other a little bit points wise in the standings. Whereas we do not really have, we obviously play LAFC at home in October, sitting there in third on 40 points. But a lot of these other teams we're done playing. So again, I think it sets it like we certainly control our own destiny, very much so. And with 4 of 7 matches remaining, those are home matches, 4 of them. Again, I'm feeling very optimistic about our chances of making the playoffs or at least the play-in game. And again, I think that's where, like, for me, the disaster season is missing out on those top 9 spots. Because you should get in.
Yeah, at the beginning of the season, we said we'd be very dissatisfied with a finish outside of the top 4. Yeah. And things have changed as we have progressed, and this season has gone not the way we thought it would go. But look, we're basically going to be in play-in games with these bottom teams for the rest of the season, because if they gain 3 points on you in a head-to-head matchup, you basically kicked yourself out of the playoffs. So we're basically in these play-in games, which is good. You know, we can't just magically pop up the standings. You got to be able to – this switch has to come on here where it's like, baby, this is do or die now every time we go out there. We can't be looking to breaks and to potential matchups down the road. Like, game at a time. Go out there, 3 points, we need it. And we get 4 games at home. So hopefully we can, be rocking, have the people there amplified. This is a great, this is what we want in sports, man.
Yeah.
We're in a chase. We're in a hunt here. Like, not everything can be given to you. We had a magical season, and now we're in the thick of it. Let's do it.
Well, and again, I know this is not obviously blanket the entire fan base, but I think coming into 2022, let's say we make playoffs, no matter what spot this year, you get into that first round, right? A wild card to me is not playoffs, but it's a game that you play to get into the playoffs, right? It's another opportunity. Let's say we get into that top 8, we get into that first round. If you told me beginning of February 2022 that Austin FC would make the playoffs the next 2 years, I'd be like, all right, that is progress. And again, we set that bar so damn high last year, whether you think we overachieved or not. It was going to be tough to top that. The only way to go up is either win the West / Supporter Shield or make it to the Cup final. There was not a lot of space. There was a lot more space for us to regress. And of course, that's true of any team that makes it that far. Let's talk Wolf Presser here. Just a couple quotes. We also got to see Emmy Rigoni, which was cool, but they were certainly running late. I don't know if there was celebration going on or Emmy's taking a long shower or what, but it was like 5 or 6 minutes of Emmy, and then he was out of there to catch the bus and get the flight back home. But Josh was in there for about 10 minutes, he said, to open up a much-deserved result in a week where we haven't gotten as much as we've deserved out of some of these games. And he said, barring the St. Louis game, I think the last 3 performances, including New England, have been quite solid. I think the players deserve more than just a point, but it means more than just a point to our guys. Tonight piggybacks what they did against Dallas, where they deserve something out of that one, and even at home against Seattle. It's 3 games in a week, and it will go a long way emotionally for our group, who knows what is required to win and compete in this league. A continuation of a good step in the right direction. Points-wise, it's not been what we wanted, but we were able to dig in and grind out a point tonight. He also talked about Alex Ring a little bit and just that progression of him getting back into the starting lineup and getting fit. He said for Alex, he's been injured since May. Salt Lake was 2 or 3 months ago. And he last played significant minutes back then. Then he came in the Miami game and injured his groin. And then it took a while for him to get fit, where he played 15 minutes against Juarez. And we don't want to see that same situation present itself. We got him some minutes against St. Louis. We got him a start against Dallas, 30 minutes in the midweek game. I think that's ultimately how you want to try to build guys into it. Obviously playing 90 plus last night. He's a warrior. You can see he's a pro. He grinds and fights, and I thought he did a good job.
Yes, fucking sir.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's if this progression allows Alex Ring to be healthy the rest of the season, then it's been worth it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, if he's not ready to go full tilt, he's not ready to go. There's nothing you can do. But it's clear that we were saving him for this game, and we unleashed him for 90 minutes here, and it paid real fucking dividends.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then he touched a little bit on playing Danny and Alex and Johan together. Mm-hmm. He said and again, some people need to pay attention to this type of stuff. The people who say that there are no adjustments and no thought, the coaches aren't putting in the work and the players aren't adjusting or picking up what the coaches are putting down. He said there are aspects that New England are quite good at. Carlos Gil is a fantastic playmaker, so we wanted a little more congestion in the middle of the field. We felt like if we could take away the middle part of the field and generate transitions, and we generated a few transitions, and I think we can be much more efficient in transition. Definitely agree there. Mm-hmm. He said you could see on one side we'd step out and press, and on the other side the wingback had to get out there. But I think those guys did a relatively good job. And then he said you got to find ways to build pressure a little bit better. I thought Johnny and Nicky did a great job, and then Adam and Pepe could have done better on their side. And I think that is how I read that situation as well.
Yeah.
And again, man, it's funny too that nobody I think in the early part of the season, setting aside the Diego contract talk, which again was a step too far. Anytime that this coach brings up one of the players and that they could do better in a press conference, we would always see somebody saying, he's calling out the players. Why don't you admit your own mistakes? It's like, come on, man. Come on. I didn't see any of that last night. People calling out Adam and Danny. Maybe that's because people saw the same fucking thing. Maybe people are watching the game.
I called Adam out.
Yeah. Well, how many times have you done that?
I gave him credit too. He had a lot to do.
You're right.
But look, when at full capacity, that's Johnny back there.
Yep.
And that's sweet, baby. I'll take that all day.
Absolutely. Well, and I think another thing that we've realized, and obviously you can't plan for Jean to tear his ACL and things like that, but we need that extra piece next year to not be a Hector Jimenez. It's nothing against Hector. By all accounts, the guy, where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be, where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there, the consummate professional, blah, blah, blah. But we need the talent of that fifth spot, that rotation. If you lose one guy and you got 3 games in 8 days, to me, we got to have a little bit more of an exciting option, I think, talent-wise. And maybe just for the upside. We know what Hector is, right, at this point of his career. He's a guy that could have easily been on the coaching staff and not in a uniform this year. I think we have to minimize those types of roles going forward. And maybe that's just a factor of being more efficient with the other first-team spots that haven't been able to contribute anything this year. And maybe I shouldn't be pinning so much on Hector there, because Charlie Asensio is also on this roster.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Anything else for you on this game? I mean, good vibes headed into the break, which is much needed for the guys.
It's going to be great on the mentals, on the chickens, to have this break here and know that we just got that game winner, or not game winner, game tire at the buzzer there.
Yep. Well, let's close it out with some last business day here, because we did. Yeah, I mean, we had a little LDR meetup out there. That was a blast to get to see all of our boys, or me see all of our boys again. Listed out on the final injury report there. But great hang with all those guys. And it was great to see that match, because of course LAFC 2 came to town with a playoff berth on the line for Austin FC 2. And to start this one out, even before we get into the lineup, did you see that there was a tifo for the next pro game?
I did. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was great, man. I mean, again, shout out to the fan base, the best fans, certainly in Next Pro. And, for me, we're number 1 in MLS as well. But, I know a lot of I respect a lot of other fan bases as well, the LAFCs, the St. Louis, etc. looking at this starting 11. Not a ton of surprises here. You did get another Kip Keller start. Ali Maz, Joe, and Czech on that back line, Alonso and Bobo in the midfield. Then you had Val, EJ, Micah, and Sebas up top. On the bench, you had David once again, Cristo Vela, Brian Arellano, John Santillan, AOC, Anthony De Anda, Spencer Sanderson, again, the backup keeper, and Chris Pinkham. So still no Charlie Asensio, although we did get a clip of him in full training this week. So, don't know what's going on there, but I assume he's just working his way back from injury still. Any takeaways for you from this lineup? Because, I think no surprises for me. I would love to see David be fit to start, but he clearly isn't. He did play more in this one, but not fit to start quite yet.
Yeah, no, he's not ready to go. I like the lineup. I like Micah at the 10 there. Captain Joe coming up big for the team here. And with the Kip situation, it's interesting because we thought, we would never see him back on FC2 for this season. And now I don't think we'll see him back on the big boy team. But he's getting run and we'll take it. He's got to get game time, and we just don't have the flexibility right now to be able to work him in and feel really good about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think, again, to your point, like, he's getting minutes. Yeah. And that's what we should want for any of the guys on the first team who just will not be playing for the first team. Like, play him at FC2. Like, let's get these minutes. Let's continue that development. So it doesn't take long. You mentioned Joe comes up big in this game. In that 13th minute, Austin had won a corner, and of course, Czech taking that one on the right side this time. And that ball gets kind of pinged around, like 3 or 4 players just can't really corral it and make a play. But Joe ends up getting there to the loose ball, takes a touch towards the left, and then turns and puts it on net. He's able to sneak it past Maxime Crépeau, who was in net again, which was a surprise when we showed up to the pitch. We talked about it on Thursday's episode. We thought he was done with the LAFC too. I mean, Crépeau was on the bench for LAFC in the Leagues Cup, but still with their 2 team on Friday night, and Joe Hafferty getting the best of him, and 1-0 Austin.
Yeah, that's one for the books there, Captain Joe.
Yep. Not a ton, to be honest, throughout the rest of that first half. It was, a game that I thought was mostly controlled by Austin, but there were certainly some dangerous players out there. Like Eric Duenas also got the start. We've seen him up with the first team at times. Julian Gaines was out there. We talked about how well McKenzie's younger brother has been playing for this LAFC2 side. And at the end of the day, once we get through, I don't want to jump all the way through this second half here because there were certainly some notable things that I want to discuss, but LAFC ends up doubling Austin FC on shots here. The possession was relatively even, 51% for Austin, but as the game wore on, LAFC became more and more dangerous here. I mentioned David playing more in this one. 52nd minute, you see Rodriguez come on for EJ. And then an important Yakusin Suba came on in the 57th for LAFC2. He's another talented young player for them. And then 68th minute here. And this is something we've seen more than once now. Damien gets carded for a foul in the box. And so LAFC also earns the PK. And Batoha stepped up from the spot and it was a nice pen by him, sent Damien the wrong way with a little stutter step and slots it in for the equalizer. You got a double switch in the 71st minute. Cristo and Steve Louis-Jean came in for Micah and Bobo. And then you got another double switch later on in the 86th with Anthony De Anda and AOC coming in for Pinot and Kip. So again, you see, just like we did against SKC last week, when we were needing a goal, you see come in for Kip and just become a little bit more potent offensively there on that back line. Didn't need the goal here again in the tie game, but it was good to see, for me at least, Coach Utley, going for it there with some fresh legs and not exactly your like-for-like change.
Yeah, I mean, look, the form of this club has not been everything we've expected from them as they got out to a very hot and incredible start, kind of fading a little bit here. And again, we talked about it earlier, like this was a team coming in, this LAFC2 team that we're better than, just flat out better than. And you talked about it in this second half as they keep progressing on us. They look like the more dangerous team. But with the rotation from Deonda, I like that. To be able to have a more offensive-minded player in there at the end is always a plus to have in the bag of tricks. So we went for it and ended up getting, to the PKs, which is fine. Secured a spot.
Yeah, and then we get to the PKs, and of course we're for the second time in 6 weeks we've got a Damien Loss versus Maxime Crépeau shootout here, and Austin. The lineup was Alonso, Captain Joe, David, Val, and then Czech, 5 for 5, and then you went Leon, Gaines, Flores, Crépeau in the 4 slot. Crépeau versus Damien was a really exciting moment there in the stands, and the veteran came out on top in that instance. And Damien did talk about it after the game, how cool it was to face off against him again, and expressed his desire to stop that shot. But at the end of the day, obviously able to smile a little bit after getting the win here, because Yakusin Suba does not convert the 5th chance for LAFC. So Austin FC2 walks it off, 2 points with the shootout victory and a playoff berth. So man, congrats to those guys. It's a testament to the work they've put in so far this season that they're able to clinch a spot with 3 matches to go here in the season.
Yeah, no, shout out to a great first season thus far, but job's not finished, and we still got some games here, and then we're in the playoffs, baby. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, so currently sitting in that second position, but everybody that is in the playoff race has a game in hand on us, and some of those games going to be taking place tonight. You've got Dynamo 2 and St. Louis City 2. That is the 6 and 7 seed. They kick off here at 5:30. That's about an hour from now. Then you've also got North Texas, who are well out of the playoff picture at this point. They are hosting Rapids 2. And like mathematically here, not eliminated from the first seed, but Rapids a much better team than North Texas over the course of this full season. You've got SKC2 on the road taking on lowly Galaxy 2. So hopefully Galaxy 2 can do us a favor there, because SKC just 4 points back with that game in hand. And then you've got Quakes 2 and Loons 2, which are seeds 5 and 8. That kicks off also at 9 p.m. tonight. So definitely going to be paying attention to those next pro results out west. And we are back in action next weekend, Sunday, September 10th. That'll be a 5 p.m. Central kickoff in Minnesota. Austin FC2 going on the road to take on Loons 2. And again, Loons 2 right on that playoff bubble currently. The 8th seed, a point back of 7 seed St. Louis City. And again, top 7 seeds are going to make it into the next pro playoffs from the West. Anything else for you on last business day before we close out the pot?
No, we got Tacoma and Portland on Monday.
Yeah, that is a huge one with Tacoma. Yes. But with a win, Tacoma would vault us into that 2 seed. So certainly, we're going to be paying a lot of attention to that playoff race coming down the stretch. But good that we've got our spot, and now it's just I guess going to be determined on if we can get a 2 or a 3 seed rather, and choose our opponent. Or hell, man, it's not out of the picture yet. It's not mathematically eliminated. So let's get that 1 seed.
All right, fuck it.
All right, everybody. I guess since we're here on Sunday, and we had a lot of bets with these 2 MLS matches, we'll just recap the bets on Wednesday. We are certainly cheering for Miami and Philly tonight, and Miami for the Western Conference implications there, and just keeping as many points as possible out of this Western Conference race. And then with best ball, of course, a lot of Philly players, a lot of LAFC players, now a number of Inter Miami players on the best ball rosters in the league. So the scores far from being finalized yet here this week, but if this week ended right now, where the scores stand right now, we'll just say there has been a shift in the standings. Shout out Cucho Hernandez for the hat trick last night. We'll have the best ball recap on Wednesday's episode as well. We'll have the game preview for Austin FC2 traveling to Loons 2. We'll take that deep dive on the remaining schedules for all the Western Conference teams in MLS and try to predict what exactly could happen here, how this playoff race could shape up over the next couple of weeks, potentially booking a guest over this international break. And once again, congratulations to Julio. We'll certainly be paying attention to that Costa Rican national team and the friendlies that they have in the coming week. Anything else for you, E, before we get out of here?
No, sir. Great point last night.
Keep it rolling. All right, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in and sticking with us here on episode 87. If you've got 5 extra seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button to help us grow the pod. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the small club mentality of the North End. We will be back on Wednesday previewing Austin FC2's matchup, talking about the Western Conference playoff race and all the nonsense in between. Enjoy the beginning of your week. A little bit of the good vibes here headed into the last international break of the season. We will enjoy the beginning of our weeks as well. Enjoy the long weekend, Labor Day tomorrow. Man, I'm feeling good. I love it. I love it.
You make me come off mute. You're talking so damn much here to end this show. Yeah, we love it, baby. We're in good spirits, baby. Come on.
All right. Well, I'm talking too much, so we'll talk to everybody else on Wednesday, where I will talk too much again. Until then, easy. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.